it's very clear that the whole contracting market is multinational driven. It's the American and international multinationals that are producing those jobs in the contracting area and driving that sector. The different sectors within contracting are experiencing different things. The IT sector is buoyant and there's a shortage of demand in certain areas. The construction sector is at a very low level, starting to improve in certain areas, certainly. And there are other sectors like medical and aviation are very much determined by smaller numbers of providers and the activity that is happening in those companies. But it's very, very clear that contracting is spreading, it's growing. We would traditionally have said that contracting was within the IT markets and the engineering and pharmaceutical markets. They're the traditional markets for contracting in Ireland and also in the UK and in other places in the world. But now it's aviation with pilots, it's health and safety, it's finance as well, and it's locum doctors and in the whole medical field as well. That is likely to continue also, likely to be a further spread on that. What I wanted to share with you here is some of our stats from what we have seen in terms of new positions, and this is on the IT. This slide relates to IT and IT roles only. But 2010 was quite a positive or quite a good year for IT contract roles, and that has grown by about 7 or 8% in 2011. Again, these are new contract roles that we would have seen in CXC that our contractors have got and taken up in those years, 2010 and 2011. In the engineering sign-ups, right? I'm looking again just at the engineering sector here. The engineering sector this excludes IT-related engineers. This is more the construction and pharmaceutical engineers. And that has surprisingly seen a bigger jump, but it was starting from a lower level. And the jump there is in the region of 30%. What we have found in that sector for any engineers here is that jobs are opening up internationally. There's certainly a lot of jobs in the pharmaceutical sector in Europe, and particularly in places like Belgium at present. And those figures would be reflected here with the engineering sign-ups. If you take a look at the names and the brands here, I mean, they're all recognizable brands in various sectors. And there's some very international names there. These are the companies that our contractors are providing their services to. So these are the companies that you are providing your services to. Now, these are some of them, obviously, only. But it's very clear that when I say it's multinational driven, that these companies are embracing contracting and see the flexible workforce and contracting as being very important to delivering their services and products. Claiming expenses. The biggest disappointment I find for me in CXC is when we have a contractor that is not claiming expenses that they're entitled to. And believe it or not, there are quite a number of people who aren't claiming expenses. Now, we want to help you with that. We want you to know the expenses you're entitled to claim and to make sure then you go and actually claim them. So the onus is on you really to know what you can claim and then to make sure you do claim the expenses that you're entitled to. Otherwise, it's money that shouldn't be going to the taxman that is going to the taxman. And I would encourage anybody who needs help with this and assistance with this, that's what we're there for. Please contact us. And you can contact your business development person that you spoke to when you joined CXC initially, or you can contact your payroll manager. Either one, or any of us. You can pick up the phone to me or to Michael, to any of us. We want to help you with that, to make sure that you know what you can claim and that you're maximising your position by claiming the expenses that you're entitled to.
Budget day is one of the most exciting days of my calendar, so I'm here to share some of that joy with you. I suppose just on our budget briefing, you will have heard a lot of the information already from yesterday and again in the media today, and we like to just twist it a little bit and put it in a contractor's perspective, so hopefully you'll get the feel of that today. The changes in the redundancy rebate is likely to bring forward some redundancy, so companies that were planning on making people redundant maybe in the start of next year might bring that forward, because as I mentioned, they can get a 60% rebate on statutory redundancy. Employers are more likely to want contract or contractor employees going forward. Again, that's related to the redundancy, but also in relation to other issues, employers, PRSI, tax deductibility of expenses, flexible workforce, as Fergal mentioned. So I think the contractor market is positive. Tax changes for employees. The good news, the positives are there's no change to income tax or PRSI. Low earners earning below 10,036 are exempt from universal social charge. There's no change to the tax deductibility of pensions. There's an increase in the mortgage interest relief if you happen to buy between the year 2004 and 2008. If you buy tax changes for companies, I suppose there's a reaffirmment of the corporation tax at 12.5% in the context of what Fergal said about the multinational companies here, and ultimately they are to a great degree the source of the contracting market in Ireland. I think it has to be welcomed that the government are sticking so hard to the corporation tax at 12.5%. The effect of the tax changes on contracting, I suppose the good things are there's no changes to income tax, no changes to PRSI, no changes to universal social charge, bar those that are earning less than 10,036. So ultimately you should feel no effect in your pay. There's still up to a 52% tax deduction for expenses. So as Fergal rightly mentioned, for those of you that are not claiming expenses, if you can root out that receipt, if you can root out that bill by submitting it, that legitimate business expense, you're effectively getting 52% of it back in your pocket. So that, as cash for you to spend on other things. So it's critical that you claim expenses. It's one of the key benefits of contracting. There's still up to 52% tax deduction for company contributions. For those of you that are directors within our managed service companies, you have the ability to put away money and save 52% tax on it. No other employee in the country can do that. Your standard employee can only save 41% tax on every euro that he puts in. But because you're a company director, you have the option to direct your company to make a contribution for you, and that saves 52% in tax. As mentioned, I think, putting the budget in a contractor's slant, I think the opportunities for contractors are likely to increase. So overall, I'd say that I'd welcome the budget from a contractor's perspective. Claim those expenses and make the most out of contracting.